Hi guys, so tonight I'm going to be doing chapter 2 of Magium. I've been meaning to make a follow-up video of chapter 1 for a while now, so I'm going to make it one tonight. Alright, let's start. Both me and Darren turn around at the same time. We see a slim, tall figure standing behind us with long black hair, fair skin, and very serious look on her face. She's wearing leather pants, a long-sleeved white blouse, and a green hooded cloak. She appears to be somewhere in her early 20s. But that's not all there is to this woman. I can also sense a strong magical aura all around her. An aura that couldn't possibly be coming from a regular human. Could she be a banshee? My heart starts beating rapidly again. That night from 15 years ago is coming back to me. I can see it vividly. And I can still hear the laughter. That sinister, high-pitched laughter. Will it never stop haunting me? I breathe in deeply and try to calm down. This woman can't be a banshee. The feeling I'm getting now is too different from one I got back then. Does that mean she's a mage? No, that would be impossible. And yet... Barry, whispers Darren. Don't be afraid. I know white magic. I can purify her. I realize Darren must have also sensed the magic coming from the woman, and concluded that she's been possessed by a banshee. Banshees are parasitic spirits that need to inhabit bodies in order to survive. They usually spend a few weeks inside a body in a dormant state before taking over. During this phase, the host may develop magical powers. Once a banshee is in full control of the body, they say she has awakened. The only way you can save the original host once she's been possessed by a banshee is to use white magic to purify her before the banshee is fully awakened, which basically means killing the banshee without harming the host. However, the purification technique operates on the assumption that a woman cannot have magic powers of her own. They call it purification, but all the technique does in fact is to completely eradicate the aura that gives off the strong magical vibe, with the purpose of also eliminating the banshee along with it. On the other hand, if the aura does not in fact belong to the banshee, but to the woman herself, the purification would be nothing short of a death sentence. No, wait, listen to me, I blur out. This woman isn't a banshee. So what, you're suggesting she's a mage then, Barry? Women can't be mages. There hasn't been a single recorded case of a woman mage in all of our world's history. Every time a woman's developed magical powers, it's been because of a banshee. Every single time. Don't you think I know that? But this one is different. If you try to purify her, you may end up killing her. How can you be so sure? Because I've met a banshee before, up close. Have you met a banshee before, Darren? No, he admits. You just said you trusted me enough to tell me your greatest weakness. I'm asking you to trust me enough to do this. Can you trust me on this, Darren? Darren gives me one long look and then sighs deeply. Alright, we'll do it your way, but I'm keeping an eye on her. I swear, Barry, if it turns out that you're saying all this because of her looks, I'm going to... Would you guys mind telling me what you've been whispering about for the past minute? The woman asks us. Okay, we have 4 choices. We can either say her looks, deciding which one should make a pass at her, just finished our discussion from earlier, discussing whether she is a banshee or not. I might as well be point blank with her, tell her talk about banshee. We were discussing whether you are a banshee or not, I tell her. Oh, she says. She appears shaken by my comment. Well, I'm sorry to have bothered you then, she continues. I'll be on my way. As she turns to leave, Darren calls after her. Wait, you didn't let him finish. We've already concluded that you're not a banshee. You can stay. She turns back towards us slowly. I can. She's trying to keep her expression as blank as possible, but there was a slight trembling in her tone as she asked her question, and her eyes are a bit watery. It appears she's been holding back tears. Of course you can, Darren asks. Now what was that you asked me in the beginning? The woman's expression is slowly returning to normal, and she asks her initial question again. I was asking if you were Darren, the healer in armor. I am indeed, answers Darren. What business would you have with me? I require an escort. I am not certain I can survive this tournament by myself. And I've heard all of your deeds of valor and all your legends, so I thought that maybe. Say no more. I will grant you my protection for the duration of your quest. From what you say, I would surmise that you're not actually trying to win the tournament. No, I'm not. I am looking for a friend. And I have reasons to believe that she's somewhere in this continent, but I don't have any specific leads just yet. For now, I just need to stay alive. Then you can join us. We were just about to get out of here. We're way too out in the open right now. Us. You're planning on traveling alongside of Stillwater? You can't trust him. Actually, he's not a Stillwater. He's just a normal human, Darren corrects her. Great. I'm wondering if he plans to blow my cover to every single person we meet from now on. Is that what he told you? The woman asked. And you believe him? He's just trying to get you to lower your guard. Now we got three choices. Ask her what she wants. Ask her what she has against him. Ask why the two of us should trust her. And ask why she's so quick to trust Darren and not me. Now let's ask why we should trust her. You're saying you can't trust me, but I don't see why either of us should trust you, I tell her. What if you're not in fact looking for a friend and you are just here to win the tournament, like every other participant? What proof do you have to back up your claim? I'm not. I'm just... She hesitates. Whoa, let's all calm down, says Darren. He turns to the woman. Listen, I understand your concern, but this man saved my life and I intend to repay my debt to him. If you're looking for an escort, then it's going to be the three of us traveling together. I'm not accepting any alternatives. The woman pauses to consider Darren's words. Very well, she says. If that's the way it has to be, then I am forced to comply. But know that I am constantly watching my back. I'm not as easily convinced as you, healer in armor. Great, Darren says. Now that we've got that settled, let's be off. Adventure awaits. Wait, I call out. You still didn't tell us your name. The woman turns towards me and gives me a pondering look. After careful consideration, she decides to answer. It's Kate. My name is Kate. With those last words, the three of us leave the clearing and head into the forest in the hopes of finding some place away from the ongoing battles that are being waged across the land. As we march through the forest, I hear a few loud beeps coming from my right pocket. Barry, what's that sound? Darren asks. I know that sound. Don't tell me you brought a fortune teller's trinket with you all the way here. Are you planning to tell us our fortunes, Barry? A fortune teller's trinket. That's what most people call these devices nowadays. But very few people know what they really do and how they actually work. My research has led me to believe that these devices harness their energy from the magic all around them. The more energy they harness, the more effective they become. Since mages usually spread far apart from one another, and they don't really have any reason to cast powerful spells one after the other, the effects of such a device are mostly negligible. But imagine the amount of energy it could gather in a place filled with the most powerful mages in the world who are constantly fighting each other. I pulled the device out of my pocket. It looks much like a toy, with a few buttons and a screen. As I press the buttons, different letters magically appear on the screen, forming words, and showing me numbers. The device calls these my stats. My stats consist mostly of various physical attributes such as strength, speed, reflexes, toughness, observation, and hearing. But there's also others like combat technique, ancient languages, and premonition. When the device harnesses enough energy, it announces me by beeping, and it then allows me to invest a limited number of points into my stats. At the moment, all of my stats are at 0, which means that the device's energy was completely depleted when I bought it. I guess I'll have to start leveling them from scratch. Investing my points in stats is supposed to actually enhance my real attributes, as long as I keep the device close enough to me and it comes into contact with my magical aura. As I spend my time here, I'm expecting to hear these beeps more and more often. I'll have to think twice about the way I spend my points though, since I have no way of knowing when I'll get my next batch of points, and no way to change my mind after I invest them. The maximum values that appear now for each stat are likely to increase as time passes. This device is mostly used by fortune tellers because of the premonition stat. It provides them with some very vague glimpses into the future that they are then free to interpret for their own liking. I wonder if an ancient languages stat actually means that I'll start being able to understand and speak ancient tongues. I heard there are many such writings on this continent, and I heard some people here don't speak the common tongue. Okay, we get two choices. Can invest the points now or invest the points later. I'll also do it now. Stats intro. I'll skip this. Okay, we got 3 available points. What should we put it on? Let's put one on toughness, one on observation, and one combat technique. Okay. As we march through the forest, I hear a few loud beeps coming from my right pocket. Barry, what's that sound? I just went back to that page. So we'll continue. Barry, don't you think that there are more important things to do right now than playing around with that toy? Darren asked me. This isn't a toy. I answer him as I put the device back in my pocket. And I think you should pay more attention to where we're going instead of lecturing me, because I see we just ran out of forest. Quiet, the two of you. We've got company, Kate says. She's right. Looking all around us, I see there are fallen trees everywhere in the area, and there are quite a few dead bodies laying around. It seems there's been a battle here, or maybe several. The victors were in the middle of looting the bodies when we noticed them, or when they noticed us. There's 3 of them in total. One of them is considerably well built for a mage. He has a very long black beard covering his face. He seems to be in his mid-40s. He's wearing heavy armor and is holding a large battle axe. The other 2 are a bit skinnier and younger and are wearing chainmail vests instead, but they're holding no weapons. The bearded mage with the battle axe shouts to Darren. Quite the team you've assembled there, healer in armor. A healer, a banshee, and an ordinary human. It's like you're dying to lose this tournament. Kate was visibly affected by the banshee comment. Her eyes twitched, and her look went subconsciously towards the ground. Mind your tongue, fool, I replied to him. Who are you calling ordinary human? Have you not heard of still waters? Ha! Still waters are legend and nothing more. I don't know what you're trying to achieve by joining this tournament, boy, but soon it won't matter anymore. Why, Darren asked the bearded mage, why have you done this? He gestures towards the lifeless bodies laying all around us. Nobody told us we should start killing each other, Darren continues. They told us there are no rules until they give us our first objectives. We don't even know if there was going to be combat involved. Why did you have to kill all these people? Because there are no rules, answers the mage with the battle axe. No rules means we can do whatever we want. And what we want is to eliminate as much of the competition as possible before the main event starts. He grins. My sons and I were a little worried at first. We were afraid we might not be ready for the big leagues. But here we are, the bearded mage exclaims as he raises his hands and takes a victorious stance. But enough talk, we all know what's coming. Barry, get behind me, Darren shouts as he rushes in front of me. First rule of combat, says the bearded mage. Suddenly one of the two younger mages that were standing next to the mage with the battle axe vanishes and appears right behind me, with a dagger in his hand. Always kill the weakest enemies first, the bearded mage continues. The young mage slashes his dagger toward my neck, but Darren reacts just in time and uses his shield to take the blow. Ha, you left the woman undefended. Classic mistake, says the mage with the battle axe, and his second son makes a dozen swords appear out of thin air, floating in front of him, and sends them all flying towards Kate. Just as the swords reach her, Kate's left arm gets covered in a large, thick block of ice, sculpted in the form of a shield. She puts it in front of her, and all the swords get stuck into it. Left the woman undefended, Kate asks. So which is it then, woman or banshee? She lowers her left arm to reveal her face as she looks straight at the mage with the black beard. Her eyes are brimming with fury. Make up your mind, she shouts, as the whole forest falls silent from the sound of her voice. The mage with the battle axe seems to have temporarily lost his cool, and is looking a bit terrified. And he should be. Kate's killing intent is so strong that it almost seems palpable. I see backstabbers and sword throwers, she shouts, and you call yourself mages? Come, I'll show you real magic. As she talks, the air all around us seems to be getting colder. So this is what it feels like to be in a tournament alongside the most powerful mages in the world. The bearded mage seems to have snapped out of it. Your parlor tricks won't save you a second time, wench. I don't care if you're a banshee or not. None of you are going to leave this place alive, he shouts as he rushes towards Darren with his battle axe ready to strike. As he approaches, I realize if I don't do something quick, Darren will be forced to fight both the older and the younger mage by himself, while also defending me. He won't have the luxury of using healing spells, since they require him to be calm and relaxed in order to cast them. Maybe there is something I can do to help. We have three choices. Hide behind Darren and let him handle both. Draw the younger mage away from Darren and focus on avoiding his attacks. Fight the younger mage myself. Okay, sorry about that. I ended up losing space on my card, so I had to make room and then continue. Alright, yeah, the choice we had made was fight the younger mage myself, so let's click that again. There's no way Darren can fight the two of them while defending me. Since the younger mage seems to be focused on me, I'll lure him away from Darren and try to fight him on my own until Darren finishes off the older mage. Kate seems to have gotten the sword throwing mage's undivided attention. He is constantly sending swords her way from every direction as she creates walls of ice to block his attacks. We're lucky. With Darren's weakness against weapons and my lack of magical talents, that mage would probably have been the hardest for us to fight. As the bearded mage reaches us, his battle axe clashes loudly with Darren's sword. I see you've enchanted your weapon as well, healer, says the older mage. But how long can you last against a battle-hardened warrior such as myself? He roars and presses his battle axe harder against Darren's sword. As the two of them fight, I dash away towards the forest. As expected, the mage with the dagger is coming right after me. Barry, wait! Darren shouts after me. He attempts to follow, but decides against it. He can't afford to avert his eyes from the bearded mage even for a second. He is too dangerous. In the meantime, the mage fighting Kate has managed to surround her with floating swords aimed at her from every direction. He sends them all at her simultaneously in an attempt to overwhelm her defenses. She quickly surrounds herself with a sphere of very thick ice, and all the swords once again stop into it. As she dismisses the sphere, all the hundreds of swords drop to the ground with a deafening clang. Ooh, combat technique check successful level 1. Once I'm far enough away from Darren and his opponent, I turn back towards the mage with the dagger and assume my fighting stance. I realize I am feeling quite confident in my fighting skills all of a sudden. Is it because of the stat device? The mage tries to surprise me again by teleporting behind me, but I manage to stop his arm as he flings it towards me. Keeping a firm hold on his arm, I pull back his wrist, forcing him to let go of the dagger. As I take his weapon, he quickly pulls out another dagger from his sleeve and makes a lunge towards me. Our two daggers clash and we start to fight. Boy, what did you think you were doing? Stop fooling around and finish him. He's just an ordinary human, shouts the mage with the battle axe. Kate seems to have gone on the offensive. She is throwing ice cones towards the other younger mage, and he is now forced to use his swords to cut them down instead of attacking her. As he focuses more on the defense, Kate's attacks become more and more relentless. It doesn't take her long until she starts sending hundreds of ice daggers towards her enemy. The mage doesn't seem to know how to use his technique to defend from such a large number of simultaneous attacks. It only takes a small miscalculation on his part to end the battle abruptly, as one of the ice daggers stabs him right through the heart, killing him on the spot. No, shouts the older mage when he sees what happened to his eldest son. Taking his eyes off his opponent was a fatal mistake. Darren didn't waste his chance and drove his blade right through the man's chest. His enchanted weapon cutting through the mage's heavy armor is like a knife through butter. The bearded mage gave out one last gurgle before he drowned in his own blood. Terrified, the young mage with the dagger tries to teleport into the forest to get away, but his spell's range appears to be limited, and it only teleports him halfway there. He tries to make a run for it, but Kate snipes him from a distance with an ice cone through his head, which kills him instantly. It was a gruesome show, but at this point, all I care about is that I somehow managed to make it out of that alive. As he's healing his wounds, Darren looks straight at me. Damn it, Barry, that was too close. We're going to have to think up some strategy until our next fight, or we're not going to last much longer. Yes, I tell him, I think you may be right. After finishing his healing spell, he walks over to Kate. Kate, please explain to me, because I just don't get it. With the way you were fighting back there, why would you ever ask for an escort? Everyone has their weaknesses, healer. Judging by how much you've been struggling in this fight, I would assume that, ironically, you are weakest against other weapon enchanters such as yourself. But just because I handled these thugs with ease, it doesn't mean I won't have any problems against other foes. No one can survive this tournament alone. Yes, I suppose you're right. Darren pauses. Very well, let's keep going, he says as he heads towards the trees. I start to follow him, but Kate stops me in my tracks. She has a very serious look in her eyes again. Stillwater, she says with a low voice, in order to avoid being heard by Darren. I saw you fighting back there. You may have managed to convince Darren and that bearded fool that you are an ordinary human, but I am not so easily deceived. I don't know what your game is, but I'm going to keep an eye on you. I'm not, I start to say, but Kate cuts me off and grabs me by the shirt. Listen to me, Stillwater. I'm not interested to hear your lies. I just wanted to make sure you were clear on what I think of your little charade. Now, are you clear? You get two choices. You either say crystal or not really. Could you elaborate some more? And we'll just say crystal. Crystal, I tell her. Good, she says, and she releases my shirt. Now let's be off. We need to catch up with the Darren. We have ancient languages check failed level 2. As we approach the forest, I see a female deer and her fawn appear from behind the trees. They make some noise when they see us, and then they hurry back into the woods. We decide to follow the path that leads to the mountains, in the hopes of finding a cave to provide us with some shelter for the night. And I guess that's the end of chapter 2. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Hopefully soon I'll make a chapter 3 video so you guys can keep up with it. And like always, you can hit like, share, subscribe. And if you'd like, you can hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. It'll tell you next time I upload a new video. And you can keep up to date with everything that I'm posting. You could also find me on Twitter. Just my name, Timothy Dugal. And follow me on there. I post my videos on there and on Google+. So any chance you get, check me out. And every view counts. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.